Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to this session of uh, Blockchain Association. We are from Hashblock, and I'm Vinay Mahendra. I represent the Hashblock Association, which involves community of blockchain professionals. So we enable them get in touch with the latest news, views, and analysis from the blockchain community, as well as provide a platform where talent and companies can come together and have rich interactions, as well as find a way to source their talent needs. I have with me today the AsliMedicine team, um, who came out of the same cohort that we came out of, which is the Triple ITH, the Triple IT Hyderabad, as well as the Talent Sprint co-organized initiative. And I'm really fortunate to have them with me here today. So we'll just go through a quick round of introductions with the AsliMedicine team, starting with their founder, RK.
Yeah. Good evening, all. Good evening, all. My name is Ram Krishna. I am the co-founder of Asli Medicine, with the DApp which we have just launched. Coming to my background, I just completed the blockchain advanced course with Triple IT in collaboration with Talent Sprint. Coming to my background, basically I'm from this blockchain industry. Prior to this, I was working as a CEO for a Dakus cryptocurrency exchange, which is based in Hong Kong. So right now, my background is that I'm a management graduate and alumni of IIM Calcutta. So I'm seeing this blockchain technology in management science perspective. So to have the tech flavor, I've joined this course, and I'm happy with my colleagues. We have formed this AsliMedicine.com DApp. We will be discussing in detail. Let me introduce my other colleagues who are the co-founders for Asli Medicine.
Hi, good evening, whichever part of the world you're tuning in. I'm Ravindra Chebiam, primarily come from a technology background, 25 plus years working both in the US and India. Previously worked in companies like Portal Software, Telecom Billing, and then Oracle on the CGBU division, and then in CA both on the enterprise applications and also on the little bit on the mainframe side. So primarily technology, engineering, product management, and strategy. So while I was looking to do something different, this course came along, and I was actually not sure how it would turn out to be, and very surprisingly, and in the right sense, I think the exposure was very balanced, both in terms of technology aspects of blockchain and also the management aspects of the impact of this technology, and the social aspects of how this would actually impact the way you look at the world going forward, both from a financial aspect, from actually maybe many other aspects. So we got a very good exposure from the faculty and the visiting faculty who were all very helpful and very insightful session that we had. So part of this team, Asli Medicine is going to be one of our first decentralized app. That's what we call on the blockchain applications being built on blockchain. And I think we intend to first validate and make this a reality, and then look at other use cases. I'm also part of this team as a co-founder. Thank you. We'll talk more about the Asli Medicine app, a little bit about Zurium, what they do as we go along. Thank you.
Hi everyone, good evening. This is Samya Prakash Sahu, co-founder of Asli Medicine. So prior to this, founding this, I was a part of a ERP implementation in banking and pharma domain. So prior to this, joining to this course, I was a little skeptical how this course will help me, to build my career ahead. Once I enrolled this course, slowly I began to understand how blockchain can disrupt all technologies and how it will be helpful in our social, activities and social causes. Definitely with Talent Sprint, it was a eye opener for me. And coming to founding this Asli Medicine, first of all, I'm very fortunate that I have a people who have that consensus among with us, so that we could agree upon one idea, and we chose supply chain as our domain. So prior to this, we thought that we could take it to a larger scale, and we met some to industry experts to understand what is their real pain points and how can we overcome them with the help of blockchain. So I'm really thankful to Talent Sprint for organizing this event. Uh, for blockchain, and I hope all success to Talent Sprint. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that round of introductions. Going back to the people who enabled all of this happen, the wonderful people behind the scenes, behind the program. We go for a quick round of introductions with the IIITH and the Talent Sprint team here. Professor Sunil Agarwal, who's been at the core of all of this. Professor, if you could give a round of introduction, please.
Hello, I'm Sunil Agrawal and I'm Program Dean of this particular program. And it has been practically an awesome journey of last 3 months. When I started this particular program on 13th of October, to be honest, I was very nervous, and because this was the first seriously designed, rigorous executive program on blockchain in India, which was hands-on training based. So to be honest, to cater to expectations of so many people was a big task for me as an individual and as well as the leader of the team. But after 10 weeks, we realized that we could perform some goals seriously up to our expectations, and with support of my co-faculty, with support of Talent Sprint, with support of IIIT, and particularly my students, I realized that this was a goal worthy of achievement.
Okay. Please need a mic. Thank you. Hello everyone, I am Shalmali Ayachet and I am a practice faculty of this particular program. I mainly or primarily take care of the labs, to be specific Ethereum and Hyperledger labs. My experience with the cohort 1, it is just a wonderful journey for me. We started with the week 1 and reaching towards the week 10. It was a very nice journey and learning phase for me too. So I really thankful to the participants to giving the nice experience to me too. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Shalmali. So having gone through with people behind the scenes, now I think a lot of questions revolved around, for startups, right? How was the journey like? How did it all start off, this whole interest in blockchain itself? So maybe one of you can take that question and give us some insight into how did this all start for you guys?
Yeah, well, guys, if you see the IT domain or the technology aspect, if you take my case, I am very open to new technologies, and you all will agree that blockchain is a emerging technology which is the future. So that brought me to here Hyderabad to join IIIT, basically Hyderabad. I'm a localite of Hyderabad, and explore this particular domain. So while we are undergoing our course, we have been as a part of curriculum few projects. So one of the project which we as my team handled is the supply chain management. So I'm a bit aggressive in this particular thing. I took this project seriously, I had gone to the field and also interacted with many people who are in supply chain management, and particularly we also met people from pharma domain, in pharma supply chain, and we understood few pain points of in pharma particular domain, and one of the pain point of end user, that is of fake medicines. Then we discussed and all, and we came up with a consensus that why don't we build a project which we is a part of this particular curriculum, but we will build a real time project which can address the needs of the customers where there are real good pain points. So my team agreed with me, and we have built it when we are doing the course. That's the reason we could launch immediately after the course. That is a different question. So here what I mean to tell is that as a part of curriculum, we have identified, we got energy, and we got the opportunity when we met people outside actors who are in this domain, and then we freezed on this particular project. And just to brief you guys what AsliMedicine is all about, that it is a blockchain use case. Basically it is a DApp, decentralized application. With this, one has to download our app, and through the scan of the app, say suppose for example, if any end user is going to a medical shop and purchasing a medicine, he can scan the code and he can establish the authenticity, what the origin of this particular medicine. That is one aspect which we have taken that, and we have ready with our POC also, and he in turn he gets that whether this medicine is original or it is a fake. What if the fake medicine will not have the origin, right from original manufacturer? All the data of our end-to-end data would not be available in the supply chain management. It's a simple thing, but a lot of technology integration is involved, and this we could launch. I have told about just a brief outline of what we do and how we could launch this in commercial manner. Yeah, I think Gaurav has raised Gaurav Jain.
We'll come back to the questions. Yeah.
So we have a few users who've already started asking questions. Now those questions are briefly around some program related and some specific to the startup itself. Maybe we will what we will do during the course of this event is take up the startup related questions in one go, and then maybe address some of the program related questions separately. So just so the viewers, I know you're very eager to understand, whether it fits, the course itself is catered to specific professionals, like just technology professionals on one end, or is it only catering to domain professionals? So I think Professor Sunil and Shalmali are here to address that. We will probably look at one of the success stories here, try to go through, because through that success story you can kind of trace back and see at what touch points these guys actually benefited from the course moving forward. So maybe as taking a cue from that, what parts of this course really influenced each decision making, or each path that you took towards the startup?
Yeah, basically, if you speak as an individual, I'm open to new ideas, collaborations, and all. With the open-minded, I've joined this course. During the course of the progress, then right from beginning, I have some or the other ideas of a startup in this blockchain space. With that intent only, I have joined basically, because my perspective and ideology is very clear right from beginning. So during the course, what is lacking, what I feel is my weakness, that I am not a techie guy. So I thought of identifying a few tech guys in this, so they can collaborate with me basically. So this particular platform has given me that opportunity, so I could find like-minded people, and as a team together we came to a consensus to build a specific product. Because I know my strength is in management science, and whole my experience in management science, and before that also past I have pharma domain experience also in this field. So all this is a cumulative effect of this idea of Asli medicine. So
A few points from my side. I think like what Vinay was asking, the course actually exposed us to many types of blockchains. Examples of Ethereum on the public blockchain space, and then private, obviously the first thing that comes to your mind is Hyperledger. So, and there were many other examples and actually use cases given. What happened was, as part of the practical demonstration of our learning, we had to work on use cases, right? And with a lot of intensity and a very short time span. So as the teams were formed, we incidentally got both the cases on supply chain, and that helped us to actually focus on, from a domain perspective, on supply chain. One of the use cases was about organic versus inorganic foods. How do you trace it? And actually, can you say that an organic food is really organic, or an inorganic food is being passed off? So then we took an example of fish. Obviously, there are some people doing similar kind of work, but it's very relevant to understand the concept that is taught in the classroom, and then trying to work on it as a use case and actually implement something about it. And the second use case also happened to be on supply chain, but this time it was on pharma industry. So we took up the aspect of track and trace of a medicine all the way from supplier till your mouth, or till the consumer, right? Supplier to the consumer. We still are working on a few key aspects of the application, but I think that particular exposure actually helped us, and then the two use cases incidentally happening to be on supply chain helped us to think deeper about this from a domain perspective, from a technology perspective, and from a solution perspective, right? So we tried many things, and I think now we have a fairly we are fairly confident of what we are trying to put together. The AsliMedicine decentralized app, it's still there are a few aspects of it that needs to be worked out, like in any startup, but we are confident of getting there, right? And the key, the other key thing is, how is this different from any other existing track and trace medicine solution, right? So we are using some of the learnings from a blockchain perspective, like the immutability aspect, the decentralization aspect, right, and the encryption among the encryption communication among the peers, right, and the interoperability. So these, I think, are the I believe are going to be the game changers. As between, in a trustless society, how can you build that confidence that what you consume is actually what you pay for, right, and the right thing to do, right? So social impact is there. Mm-hmm. I think the I would say the market size is huge. Just a quick note: 25% of the medicines apparently from both India and China are supposed to be spurious, fake, or not done correctly, right? Not the right medicine. So the market size is huge. Social impact is there, and as we all know, health is wealth. So I think we are focusing on that aspect of supply chain and the pharma industry, right? To talk more about the technical aspects, I'm seeing some of the questions. We'll try to answer it as we go along. Thank you.
Sure. With the varied expertise that you guys have, I think some of the questions that are coming in are around monetization. How can we monetize this? Is there any commercial use? So how do you guys deal with this? I think.
Yeah, I think some of the questions which I will take, which I think Gaurav Jain have expressed, that I think first question he has come up with, if I am right, can this be used for existing products which are on the shelf? I'm sorry that I think the question itself, the answer, which is already existing in the shelf. Our solution may not be helpful. And commercial use and monetization part, yes, it can be monetized, although it is having a very good social cause, as my colleague have mentioned. we do this billing to, this is a B2B model. Actually, we charge the pharma companies for our service. How the pharma companies would gain with our DAP. See, this is all about protection of a brand, of a company goodwill. With the help of our AsliMedicine DAP, we will with the usage of this thing, the fake drug maintenance, which is at a rampant, can be curtailed to a certain extent or to a larger extent. As my colleague told, that there is about 25% of the fake medicines which has been circulated in the market. If you buy our application, even if you bring it down by around 15%, that turnover would be added to the pharma company, and there will be increase in the turnover, and their brand is being safeguarded with our DAP. We are a value addition to the pharmaceutical industry, wherein we are also value addition to the end user, because with our app he can get the actual original medicine. And even for the government also, we are a value addition. How? Because all the fake medicines which come into the market, basically they doesn't come under any tax bracket, without bill and all they supply. So the actual turnover is being accounted in the books with the original medicines. We also add revenue in the form of taxes to the government. So this how the whole package is been built. This is a version 1 or version 2 of AsliMedicine. Later on, after we getting an exact working knowledge and all, we do extend our services to the all online e-commerce portal which sells the medicines. Although there is some you call ban on Delhi for this online e-commerce medicine sites, just because of they are selling spurious drugs. I think we will be helping them also, that if we curb this problem, all the people, all the players in this industry would be benefited. And we also have another business revenue model from governments. How it is, government implements many family health programs. Recently, I think you all must be aware of the polio drops failure, wherein they couldn't maintain the temperature, and all the polio drops have been turned spurious, and many people have been affected. So actually this has come from that particular thing only. When we met the drug controller, he told the same thing. If it is a blockchain enabled system, which this particular thing can be avoided. So there is an immense scope even with government departments, where because they run huge lot of multi-crore family welfare schemes. There also we can give solutions. So just to summarize, what I am telling is that how do we monetize from pharmaceutical companies, number one, number two with online e-portals, number two, and number three is with the government agencies. These are the revenue models what we have been planned and which we have been working out.
Yeah, actually one of the actors in this whole supply chain end-to-end scenario would also be the government drug control authorities, right? And I think I look at it as a win-win from multiple angles, both from a supplier and a manufacturer, in getting their brand authenticity, right? And then from a end consumer perspective, what you're paying for is the right thing that you're paying for, and you're able to actually track your medicine all the way along the supply chain with all the actors that who have actually worked or touched your medicine, right? So I think we see that as a win-win situation for all the actors in this space, right? So and using the technology aspect of it, which right now there's a question there from Rishank saying, hey, just Google and Neeti is already doing this. Oracle, yeah, right. Oracle also has something similar, but I believe everybody is in the same space where they're trying to productize this idea, right, and go live with it. And we have made, I think, a good progress in talking to 3-4 actually customers, and validating our idea and the solution with some of them, and we are in different stages of interaction and implementation with some of these pharma companies, right?
So if I understand, there's already a push from from the pharmaceutical sector as well as the government to kind of tackle the counterfeit market that's already rampant in especially the low and middle income countries. So this is only going to add another layer that's already existing.
Absolutely.
So which is an amazing social cause that had to come out of this program. So what is the roadmap that you have drawn for yourself, and how are you going to implement it?
Okay.
Basically, if you see about this, the parent company is Zorium company, which is based in Singapore. And this AsliMedicine we have co-founded, and the architects are based out of here in India. So we have a development center in India, which is at Hyderabad, where my architecture team and back-end operation teams are present. So initially, this in India, Hyderabad is known as a pharma capital. So initially, already we are in discussion with a few major pharma players in Hyderabad. We would be implementing our solution with pharmaceutical companies in Hyderabad and the neighboring states in Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka also. So that is the phase one, and we are also working with government agencies how better can be useful for them, because one of you have asked about the Niti Aayog program which is already been implemented. Yes, few players have been there in this scope which are offering specific solutions. We will also approach them, and what exactly we are doing is that even to answer other question of Gaurav for foreign products, Glenmark importing. So if you see this scenario, we are not coming into the packaging segment already. Say suppose this is a product, already packaging and all has been done. So there are some packaging standards, some supply chain standards and all, which pharma companies are already implementing, that is in force. So here where exact value addition we are giving to this pharma companies, we are in one contact with one pharma services company where they have a patented in packing and QR code, and they call it as a tamper proof, and it's a US patented.
Non-clonable.
Non-clonable, yes. Thank you. So with that, what we are giving is that we are not entering in that area, but what we are giving is another layer to it, because if you see the label, and you all must be agreeing with me, even if a currency note has been can be duplicated, what about this label? Means by seeing this nobody can know. Even the currency note, only a bank professional with certain UV rays equipment and all, he can know. By seeing, no one can know. So the same thing, if you scan this, the original thing, label wise and all, fine. If you scan this, we establish the authenticity right from the origin. That is the main thing here. The layer what we are giving is one can establish the origin from manufacturer. We till now we have stopped to manufacturer also given an idea. You can source from our API, that is active pharma ingredient. API here stands for the raw materials also. That is another layer which will come later, from manufacturer to a C&F agent, from C&F agent to a wholesaler, from a wholesaler to a stockist, from a stockist to a retailer. All this, the source, that it can be tracked. So this is a solution which we offered and which we got very good response whomever we have met. So that's how we are giving a value addition to it. This is the thing, to answer that the Gaurav, that foreign brand importing, I think they have to put Indian label. I don't really don't know the laws and all, because foreign label will have their information rate in dollar, euro, whatever it is. Here Indian pharma packaging standards they have to put. When they are putting the pack, they will put the blockchain enabled QR code so that it can be scanned and tracked. I think this might answered the thing what you guys have asked.
I think two aspects to what Gaurav asked. A Glenmark example, I think as they get exported or imported into India and goes to a stockist or a wholesaler, at that point, if there's a way to intervene and add our QR code, and only with certain actors at each organization or each player are actually allowed to enter this data, who are authorized, right? But again, once you enter the data, the technology aspect of blockchain where the record is immutable, can never be changed. So that way, as they go into a stockist or a wholesaler, and we can add this QR code with a validated user input, that from then on we can actually track the history of that particular drug, right? And there is something called the GS1 standards that's followed, I think, primarily in Europe and many other countries, and they have a lot of interoperability elements that we are actually looking at and adding it into our drug traceability program. We are actually looking up a few weeks back about it. How can we add? So we have a traceability elements from our end-to-end drugs. So some examples of that is the manufacturer name, batch number, lot number, location, temperature, right, and the current holder type. So those kind of things based on all the industry inputs that we got. So it's extendable. If you feel that one other field needs to be added, we could do that, or remove a field that is not needed in particular use case. So at this point, we are focusing on a use case by use case basis for manufacturer. At some point, when we are able to see a pattern, we can come up with a more platform option, and then onboard many more pharma companies and all the players in the supply chain, right?
So in this whole initiative, do you actually represent a company, or are you going to tie up with the Drug Controller of India, or I mean, how does the model work?
Basically, our revenue generators are pharmaceutical industries itself.
Okay.
And what work
in terms of enforcement?
Enforcement. See, even the government have a bigger role to play here in this. Actually, if you say the US FDA norms, already they have given a term period of 10 years. This particular rule, the drug interoperability should be there. It is enforced with effect from 2013. So the deadline is 2023. Correct. By 2023, all the drug manufacturers, the interoperability should be tracked. So another 5 years is there for us. And by that time, each and every company who's aiming for exports are now itself they are complying the US FDA norms.
Right.
So by law, they would be coming into this particular ambit. So by that time we want to be an established player. That is one of the aspect of the roadmap which you have asked.
Okay.
For the company. So this
one of the aspects that I think Gaurav was asking was, do you have any ICO plans beyond this?
Yeah, right. That is a good question. Regarding ICO plans for AsliMedicine, we don't have any ICO. It is one of the DApp, decentralized application, which is launched under the brand of Zorium. Zorium Blockchain Labs Private Limited is a company which is registered at Singapore. Zorium has a ICO plan. The main product of Zorium is a decentralized exchange which we are building up, and this is one of the other vertical dApps. 3 dApps are being planned by second half of 2019 by Zorium Labs. AsliMedicine is one of such app. So this about the tokenization model of the parent company Zorium.
Thank you so much for those insights, and in this journey of yours towards a really noble social cause, we want to be sustainable as well. So you want to be commercial at the same time.
Yes, correct.
We really appreciate your thoughts and inputs, sharing all of your plans with our viewers here. And with that, I think we want to move towards specific questions about the program itself that a lot of our viewers have, and probably for that we will move towards the talent sprint and triple IT enablers here with us, Professor Sunil Agarwal and Shalmali here.
We'll go back to the questions later, right?
Yeah.
There are a lot of them.
Specific questions. We will still come back, but we want to see. We want to try and balance out. So, Professor Sunil, it's been quite a journey. Although it's been a single cohort, there's been a lot of things happening in the 10 weeks period. So, could you just quickly, walk us through the course and your experience through the course?
Okay, to be honest, when we launched this course, we had no idea what should be the right balance. When I say right balance, because blockchain can be taught as a computer science, as a management science, and as well as a social science. Now, we had no idea how to balance all these three elements into one course. But after going through the entire program, we finally realized that there is a certain balance. I can't put that balance in terms of proportion, but that balance is decided session to session, response to response. So that was the first major thing that we could actually achieve. The second thing was, initially we had thought that it would be a 50% theory and 50% lab. Now that was a structural choice and we were very happy about that choice. But when we actually finished that program, we realized that within that structure there is a substructure. Now, of course, 50% hands-on training, 50% practical remains there. But as far as the 50% theory part is concerned, I would say rather within that 25% is demo and 25% is theory. So in broader sense, if you see, the 75% of the entire course is either demo or hands-on. So since we started with foundations of blockchain, then we moved to Ethereum, and within Ethereum we gave 9 use cases to all the teams, out of which they chose they had supply chain, and then we shifted to Hyperledger where we gave 5 use cases. So we gave them roughly 14 use cases in order to prepare themselves for eventual application building on blockchain. And in both these platforms. So that was a kind of choice that we kept on improving in course session after session. And that was something that was, to be honest, an eye-opener for me, my team, as well as for students, because we never realized that if we give custody of assets as a use case, one team happens to choose land records, and the other teams happens to choose stock market equity assets. So this was the interpretation of for all the teams, and that was an eye-opener. That was a surprising element that all the students wanted to go beyond the written word. That's where actually the magic started happening, and I could never have realized that some experimental project of a classroom will ultimately turn into a startup. To be honest, as a teacher, this is a dream come true kind of a thing. It's a miracle for me. I'm happy for my students. So this is, to be honest, a moment of great happiness for me.
Sure.
Thank you.
So I think there we probably touched upon a couple of questions that our viewers earlier had, saying, is this for me? I'm not a technology professional. There could be domain experts, from the financial domain, from the supply chain domain. So is this course for them, and what do they have, if they are not technology professionals? So maybe if you can briefly touch upon that.
I think I will answer one part. The other part of that question can be answered by my practice faculty, Shalmali. See, we expect that people should have some working knowledge of programming languages. But the fact is, in our group, there were roughly 74% people from IT background. But despite an IT background, they were having functional expertise, which means that for last 5 years, or some people were not using into development for last around 10 years. So they were more or less away from coding thing for quite a number of years. But what we did, we actually designed all the groups in a certain manner that there was a balance in all the groups. So I will hand over to Shalmali to discuss about how we made those groups.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, I think Shalmali was very instrumental in forming our projects. Probably, without her knowledge, she ended up putting up a very fruitful team together that came up with
that's true.
Success story.
Yeah, I mean, we had a good mix of technology and programmers and management, and
That's so kind of you, all of you.
Sure.
But yeah, the thought behind making the teams, First of all, we have gone through, it was not but it was a collective decision from our side. But yeah, I'll take the privilege to answer that. Something like we have gone through each and every participant's profile, first of all, and then we have understood from which background they are coming from, how many years of experience they are having. So taking it from, we understood that minimum, we took 3 points to consider for a team, so that at least minimum 2 hardcore developers should be there, at least minimum 1 techno-functional kind of a person or participant should be there, and minimum 3 highly experienced or senior experienced people should be there in the group, so that they will have a functional knowledge or expertise into that particular domain, so they could guide into the better way of the work they are doing. So this is how the groups got formed, and happy out of which the many groups actually form their actual team in the future too. So that's what the idea behind it. Thanks.
Just to add, I think one question was somebody else is doing this is IIT and I am, right? I think personally, if you ask me, the difference is you learn from your peers in your group and actually peers from the other. Let's say we have about 60 people enrolled, then we have 10 teams. We actually learn from how they have used the technology for their use case. So that learning is, I think, invaluable in such a short period of time to quickly grasp, maybe from all the sector, from a sector perspective and also from technology perspective. That learning is very good and very interesting too. So.
Hi, you explained about the billing QR, right?
Yeah.
So I have a question on that. It is created in the blockchain and it's tracker from the origin, right?
Right.
So it traveled towards the
Consumer.
stages. It's placed into the shop,
Right.
where you can go and purchase. By that time, in shop itself, another duplicate with the same QR code and the things will be placed here.
Right.
I went there to purchase. I got this instead of this original one. So I scanned it. Everything will be fine. So this is a duplicate one.
Right.
How can your application will be traced this kind of environment?
Yeah. Can I answer? Yeah. So I think it's a good question, and this is something we've been grappling with for quite some time. What we call him RK, like what RK mentioned. We are looking to partner or talking to this pharma services company which has this non-clonable ID technology as specific to packaging. So you try to move the package and stick it to this, you cannot clone it. It will leave some digital footprint where the signature will change. That's one way, right? The second way is actually if you take out the sticker. Right now there are smart stickers coming which actually tell you which give you many digital inputs when something is tampered with the smart sticker. Beside that point, if you take it out and try to put that sticker, right, maybe first time you might get that medicine, but using a little bit of AI and a little bit of background processing, we can quickly say when the real medicine with that sticker comes, we can see that there's a duplicate, one of them.
Okay. So
Right? And if it's coming from the same location, the first one might pass off, but the second one will actually annul that, or actually be able to tell, okay, this is the real one. But it comes from 2 different locations, the same sticker, then we know the location is supposed to be here, not there, we stop it there. So that's few ways to look at it, right? So but if it's in the same location, and if so in this case we assume that the pharmacist or the hospital guy is doing this. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we are encouraging fair trade practices, right? There will be an impact to the image or to the reputation of that particular actor, right, if he does that, right? And especially if it's a high cost medicine which has a health impact directly onto the consumer, and we are able to find it quickly in the next one that comes with the same package, right? And then we could maybe goes back to the authorities to take action, right? Because now that information comes very quickly through the chain and can be notified very quickly to the authorities, right? So that's way too.
Makes sense. I think that's a beautiful segue into some of the other questions that our participants had, right? So what is the, and I'll see how I can marry these two. So a blockchain solution needs not just a blockchain perspective, but it also needs, domain knowledge. It also needs to borrow a lot of ideas from, like you said, packaging technology, IoT, AI.
Yeah.
So it's really a combination of all of these emerging technologies which makes a solution work.
Right.
And in that perspective, I want to see, both. I want to ask both from a program perspective as well as from a participant perspective. What is it that you gain from this program through that contact mode? Versus, what if I were to sit back at home? There are tons of programs that are available online. I know there's something available from IIT Kharagpur.
I'm just asking that.
Yeah, exactly. So what is the advantage that this contact mode program mode brings in? Maybe I'll start with the faculty first.
See, the fact is, in blockchain world, the problem is not lack of content. The problem is how to use the right material in a right context. Now, that is something which is not possible in an online environment, because questions are not just one or two. Questions actually come in series.
Right.
And particularly when you actually create a peer-to-peer culture within a classroom and within a lab environment, the kind of impact that is created is awesome. For example, if I have 5 groups in my one lab, then all those 5 groups are working on 5 different use cases.
Right.
Now, during the breaks, during the tea break, during the lunch breaks, every group is interacting with every other group. Now, this is a kind of environment which is simply impossible in an online culture.
Right.
Second thing is that every group is having 3 layers of faculty. First is group is having a practice faculty layer 1 led by lab mentors. Then there is practice faculty layer 2 led by Shalmali. Then there is academic faculty led by me and other faculty members. So this 3-layered system is continuously available to all the students from 9 o'clock till the time they leave labs. Generally we have 9 to 5 sessions, but the fact is when labs happen, people keep sitting in labs sometimes till 7 o'clock, sometimes even beyond that. So actually a lab activity is not a 5-hour activity. Lab activity is actually 8 to 10 hours long daily activity. So if we say that our course is 100 hour long, of course in a structural sense it is 100 hours, but in a practical sense, the candidates spend roughly 140 to 150 hours with all of the faculty and their peers. So this is kind of an environment which is practically impossible in an online environment.
Right. There are a lot of MOOCs online that are available on blockchain, but I think that's the USP of a contact program.
Also, I want to add one more point. Just I think we just about it, that the design of the program itself is also an plus point over all the programs, because I have personally gone through them and we do generally a market research that what is happening. So among them that I do should give a credit to the program design. I think Professor Sunil should talk about it. The from basic to the expert level, it is including all kind of blockchain which exist into the market, and it is still adding into it. It is not stopped with the cohort 1, definitely. So it is as it is. The blockchain itself is so evolving. So we can't say that okay, now the Hyperledger 1 version is there and now we are taking it. It will not stop with it. So it is always and continuous research behind it, and that we are definitely, I'm proud of it, that we are definitely doing it and adding it to the program.
And to add to course design, see, we do understand that Ethereum and Hyperledger are at present industry standards, but the fact is tomorrow we don't know, there might be other blockchain. So we realize that fact, and we also expose our students to other blockchains which are competitive blockchains, and we shared that thing in 2 categories. One was permission category and other was permissionless category. In the permission category, we exposed them to 3 blockchains: multi-chain, Ripple and Corda. And in permissionless category, we expose them to EOS, NEM and Cosmos. Now, the fact is blockchain platforms are expanding as well as deepening. So we gave them a very hands-on, a very deep treatment of Ethereum and Hyperledger, and a bird eye view of all the other progress. The fact is, to have a complete understanding of such a vast number of blockchains in a single course is something which has not happened in India as far as I know, and that too in an executive program on blockchain, which is 10-week long program. So this course design was actually a collective decision for all of us, but we kept on making micro changes from session to session, and these micro changes will keep on happening, because the fact is, when we started off with the course, Hyperledger 1.2 version was there, but when we actually went into the program, Hyperledger Fabric version 1.3 was also released. Plus one more framework was also released called Project Ursa. So when we are going to enter into cohort 2, we will be taking care of all these factors. So the course design is pretty dynamic.
Just to add to what Professor said, I think the technology aspect is exploding. The business applications point also is rapidly increasing. And actually, as we started this project, we went with permission just primarily because of talking to actors on the supply chain and pharma, and then we realized that maybe it's good to start with a permission blockchain at this point. And as we were working on the project, writing code and developing the solution, we saw that Hyperledger came up with Sawtooth 1.0 stable version, and they say Sawtooth is more ready for supply chain. So now we are really looking at, hey, what do we do? Should we go and adopt this, right? So it's such a rapid pace of change. So I think the background knowledge that Professor Sunil Shalmali and the Talent Print team taught us, I think helps us to quickly do the pros and cons of taking up a new solution. And that's how I think we are able to see some progress or show some progress. Right. Thank you.
So there is one more question over there, that why everybody is looking up, I think.
Maybe we look down.
So for our viewers, we just have a rolling list of questions from our participants, or rather from our viewers, and that's where we are trying to refer to those. So, and just quickly, could you, I know we are running short of time, but could you briefly touch on those aspects, like why a contact program versus an MOOC or self-paced course?
Yes, see, what I feel with the online course is, of course, the interaction would be very less. With online, you'll be learning the course, but not interacting with the domain players. Here in classroom, first of all, you will have different study cases to understand what is the pain point, and among the team, you get to interact people with other domain domain expertise also. So first and foremost thing is consensus. If you are starting something new, as fortunately we started, there was a consensus among our team that yes, we are going to take this little ahead. We are not going to stop at this point, and we are going to step up and talk to the industry experts, and we're going to take it ahead. So this interaction will not be, definitely it won't be there with online courses, and like Professor Sunil said, the actual course may be 100%, but 100 hours, but actual, if we collaboratively see, it will be more than 150 hours also. So and the contents, whatever we curriculum, whatever we followed in Talent Sprint were very up to market, and as promised by them, then it will be with the growing technology and updated version of other blockchains, the course will be definitely updated also.
So in terms of
just to sum up online versus an offline course, one, here we have a human connect in offline courses, and we know the wavelength of other participants. That is number two. And number three, I strongly believe that our vibe attracts the tribe. That will happen only in offline course. These are the three major points what I feel online versus offline courses.
Just one other aspect to that, from an offline course, I think this technology or this space needs a lot of players, not just a mathematician or a programmer. It also needs a domain expert. It also needs somebody who can look at this from a product perspective, look at it from a market perspective, because a lot of disruption is happening with this technology, right? And disruption in this case happens to affect many stakeholders, right, across many domains. So I think a good combination of a domain guy and with some technology background would help, but again, each of them have enough to do adopting this technology, because your domain knowledge will be very critical to actually apply this particular use case or technology, and how is it different or relevant to what's happening right now with the pain points, right? So yeah, I think those two aspects make a lot of difference, and this disruption is I believe is going to be just not in one sector, in many sectors in the years to come, and it's the right time to get on board.
Sure, thank you so much.
Right.
So just quickly moving on to a couple of questions that they had. I think Sukanto, Ranjit have a couple of questions about career options and then when the next cohort or batch is going to begin.
See, the next batch is going to begin on 19th of January. And apart from AsliMedicine and Hash blocks coming out of this group, there are a couple of other initiatives which have also come out, but they are not formalized, but I would like to discuss brief detail about that. One of the group is basically called a blockchain policy group, and the focus of that group is to bring a white paper on corporate currencies in blockchain era, because this is an area which needs to take a formal shape, a tangible shape, and this particular group wants to interact with policymakers, regulators, as well as academics, so that this particular thing, which generally we call ICOs and all those things, we want to take this thing much beyond that, because tomorrow corporate currencies are going to be order of the day, whether they become utility currencies, whether they become payment tokens, or they become security tokens. Right. All these issues need to be decided, but at present no research think tank is working in this particular direction. The blockchain policy group coming out of this particular cohort, which is basically comprising 8 members, so they are going to bring a policy document by end of this quarter, and we'll be updating all of you in that context. And the second project, which is actually under shape right now, is also a startup, and they are building again a supply chain solution, but they wanted to bring a phase-wise approach to entire thing. They would be releasing their white paper pretty soon. So we'll be listening from them pretty soon, I hope within this quarter. So these are the 4 major things. Number 1, AsliMedicine. Number 2, Hash blocks. Number 3, blockchain policy group, and number 4, this upcoming startup. So these are the 4 major areas where I have been pretty happy that students have designed all these ventures on their own.
Sure. It's amazing spirit, actually, the spirit of cohort 1, and thank you so much for that. I just want to, before we conclude, want to briefly touch upon the 2 initiatives that Professor Sunil Agarwal was talking about, the Hash blocks group as well as the blockchain FM radio that came out of this. Something that came out as what we found within the group was what after the 10 weeks we were all together, we gelled well as a group. Okay. But then we wanted to take this forward, take the momentum forward, and also build a community where we can exchange tomorrow we can come up with all sorts of issues while actually implementing these wherever we go as entrepreneurs or as professionals in companies. So the HashBlocks group has been formed with two primary motives. One, to actually harness the collective intelligence and provide a forum for people to come in and talk to each other, as well as for would be resourcing requirements. Let's say there's a huge talent pool, the pool that has been trained by triple IT professors and Talent Sprint with such a really diverse program. So that pool, access to that pool, both from companies' perspective as well as any entrepreneurs who have complementing skills, let's say IoT or AI, but they also would look for blockchain skills. So that's another forum for all of us to interact with. The HashBlocks itself was formed out of this. Blockchain FM radio to complement this brings in news and news, views, and analysis. We also started with the industry interaction series. You should look out for Professor Sunil Agarwal's interview very shortly. It'll be out. And apart from that, we are meeting various celebrities. Mr. Pandu is also along with me in the journey through Blockchain FM radio as well as HashBlocks. So we're meeting industry experts from across areas. So we met startup enablers in Mr. Rama Iyer and Mr. Pankaj Devan from Idea Labs, Ramesh Loganathan. They're all linked with T-Hub under various capacities. So together, I think this whole program brought out a lot of synergies with the interaction that we got. So that's another plus point. Somebody was asking about why a contact program versus a MOOC course, right? So I wouldn't be able to foresee all of this or have these connections without that contact per se. So thank you so much, all of you present here at Team AsliMedicine. Congratulations, and all the best for your future plans, and team at Triple IT and Triple IT Hyderabad Talent Sprint for forthcoming cohorts. We wish to see future cohorts coming up with more startups quickly.
Sure.
And thank you so much and thank you to our viewers as well. I know your questions kept us going, and look forward to seeing a lot of you being part of this course ahead, and as well as being part of the HashBlocks Association moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone. Bye.